What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, I want to talk about a recent exchange that was had between Kevin Durant and Ja Morant's father, T. Morant, right? And I think this exchange is important because it just points out that T. Morant is not really playing the role of a father. He's really playing the role more so of a friend and a and like somebody who's like in awe of his son, right? And so the Houston Rockets was playing John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies, and this was like I think a game after the suspension. So John Morant is playing. Uh, Kevin Durant comes closer to the sideline, and T Morant tries to like to heckle him and say things to him, right? And so that started like a back and forth between Kevin Durant and T and Kevin Durant and T Morant, right? So T Kevin Durant says, well, he says, I guess he kind of got pissed off and he told T Morant, enjoy your stay or your last week in Memphis, right? Actually saying, pointing out the fact that Ja Morant won't be in in Memphis for too much longer. And so the people you could hear the people around T Morant laughing and they got a big kick out of that. But see, T Morant put himself in a position as somebody who is more so a fan of his son than a father to to be embarrassed like that, right? And you can see T Morant like when he goes to the games and stuff like that. He is more so worrying about dapping everybody up and showing people love and stuff like that. He's going into this arena like he's a superstar, and I don't really get it. I know that what was the other guy name? Tyrese Halliburton. Like last season, Tyrese Halliburton father had like a run in with somebody with a player, as a matter of fact. And I don't know like how these guys like these basketball dads, in my opinion, they are even worse, way worse than the basketball moms. I can't remember uh like a mom being that much, like women will stay in the stands and they'll cheer and they might say something, but these guys actually get out on the court or get, or get in the faces of opponents and stuff like, or have a back and forth and it'll come to blows and stuff like that. These guys got to remember that they are the fathers of these athletes. And as a father, it's his job really to give Ja Morant like good sound advice, leadership. Be somebody that can a person who can pull the coattail of your son and advise them, somebody that they can turn to for good advice. But it's not like that with T Morant. And I just don't get it. I know I saw a video of Chris Paul's father talking to T Morant, giving him advice about how to manage this situation, with your son being in the NBA, and he said, you are going to, as a father of somebody whose son has made it, you're going to lose friends. You're gonna, relationships are going to sever because you're going to have to separate people from your son who don't have his best interest at heart. You're going to have to advise your son to separate himself from people who are just there to hang on and just there to along for the ride, and people not going to appreciate or like you for that. But you still have to be his father. You have to be honest with him. He went on to say that because if you're not honest with him, whether he appreciate the information or not, then you really are no good to him, right? And this is coming from Chris Paul's father, and I thought that hit it right on the head because if you can't be honest with your son and if you can't maintain your role as or fulfill your role as the father, then you really are no good to him. And I see with what Ja Morant is going through right now with the Grizzlies, he really right now needs somebody in his corner who can give him good advice and tell him how to maturely and professionally handle the situation that he's going through with the Memphis Grizzlies. He can't allow his son to act immaturely or paint himself as a victim, because he has a brand to protect. He don't want to lose his endorsements. He want to continue to get better as a basketball player. And that right there, like advancing his career and getting better as a basketball player, that should be Ja Morant's like number one priority. And so this stuff that he's going through as a player, he got to be careful the way he managed this situation. He's not getting that from his father, T. Morant. T. Morant just want to sit on the sideline and go back and forth with other players and stuff like that. And then he's found himself in a situation like he was with Kevin Durant, where Kevin Durant just basically said, "Look, man, y'all enjoy y'all last week in Memphis," and it was kind of embarrassing. Everybody around him was laughing and stuff like that, and he set himself up for that basically. And I hope that uh, Ja Morant don't end up with a team that is really that's not in contention, right? That don't have a chance to win. And some people saying that Ja Morant probably, a good fit for Ja Morant will be with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Him and Anthony Edwards teaming up. That'll be a good pick, a good move for him. I don't know. I don't know. And some people say, let me see, what else I think people saying Houston. I don't think he'll be a good fit for Houston. See, I think the best situation for Ja Morant is with the Grizzlies, where he's at now. Like he had a team that was willing to build around him, and invest in him. And I think that once he leave the Memphis Grizzlies, he will recognize that that was the best place for him because I can't really see a place where he's not used to sharing that spotlight. So if he go to a place like Minnesota, can he be a team player? Or if he goes to Dallas, with those guys over there, like can he be a team player and do what the team needs to be successful? And I haven't seen that. I've always seen him being the number one option, the guy who goes for the spectacular play instead of, I haven't really seen that. I don't think I think he'll probably be able to go somewhere with a team that just basically, in my opinion, just want to sell seats, put butts in the seats because he hasn't proven to me that he can really or shown me that he can work with somebody and become a great team player. I just haven't seen that in Ja Morant. So I don't know what he's going to be able to do when he once he leave the Grizzlies. I think once he does leave the Grizzlies, I think that it'll be a situation where he realized that this was the perfect opportunity for me to um to have somebody build around me, because honestly, I don't think he has the kind of talent that uplifts his other like Kevin Durant can go to any team and blend in, because of his skill set. Ja Morant is not like that, you know. So I just don't think Ja Morant will be able to, he got to be in the right situation. I think the right situation is the situation that he's in right now. But also, to close this out, just don't think that his father, T Morant, I think he did him a disservice, not just by not really just calling him out and giving him good advice. There's more to being a good father and a role model than just being somebody who can provide money, and that is something that T. Morant did bring up, and when he was talking to Chris Paul's father, like, all right, how do you handle the situation when your son is now the breadwinner? And Chris Paul's father said, yeah, yes, he told him, he said, you're still his father. So no matter how much money he make, you're still his father, and that's a role that you're still going to have to play in his life. You know, just like Ja Morant's mother. Y'all still his parents. Y'all can't, just because this guy had more money than y'all, you just can't say, well, the roles don't reverse. Like, he's not now the father, he's not now the mother. So he still needs that guidance from them. And so, they letting him run the show, and he will mess around and mess up his career, mess up his legacy, because his parents really not leading him in the way that they should. So that's my take on the situation with Ja Morant and T Morant. I thought it was funny what Kevin Durant said to them, as far as like, yeah, uh, enjoy your last week in Memphis. So that was kind of funny. But with that being with that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.